Hi coaches! In this video, we are going to give an extensive overview on how to use Accel Golf. Accel Golf is primarily a mobile app that players use to upload their golf stats. From inside the app, we can analyze a player's stats with various different breakdowns. Accel Golf also provides different tools to help facilitate scheduling, practice, and game improvement. We will cover all of these topics and more today. First off, Accel Golf can be downloaded on the App Store or Google Play Store. Alternatively, you can use Accel Golf on your browser by going to app.accel-golf.com or by clicking the web app link on our website. Next, let's go through an example of what a player would do when starting a round with Accel Golf. First off, they'll want to print the stat card. You can access it by clicking the stat card link on our website. After printing the stat card, there are two ways in which you can fold it to neatly store it during your round. The first way to fold is in thirds along the red lines, and then in half along the blue line. That produces something that looks like this. The second way to fold is again in thirds vertically, and then at the top of the tables horizontally. This lets you look at 3 holes at once. Both work for scanning, so the choice is yours. Let's take a closer look at the stat card. The first thing we're going to want to notice is the space to write the par. For every hole, you're going to want to make sure you fill this out. Next are the distance boxes. For every shot, you will want to write the distance from your ball to the hole, regardless of how far you actually hit it. Next is the location column. This is the end location of the shot. We can use these letters to denote which surface the ball ends up on. F for fairway, R for rough, G for green, and so on. You'll only want to use the H for hazard when actually hitting a ball out of a hazard, not when you drop. Next are the miss boxes: left, right, short, and over. If you, as the player, feel like you missed your target, you will want to fill in 1 or 2 of these bubbles to denote which direction you missed your shot in. Last is the penalty column. Only fill in this bubble if you are about to receive a penalty as a result of the shot you just hit. Now let's go through an example hole. This hole is a par 4 and it's 394 yards. Those are the first 2 things you'll write on the stat card: 4 next to par and 394 in the distance section. Next, let's actually hit the shot. So we hit the shot and it ends up in the fairway. So we write F for fairway. Notice how we don't fill in any of these bubbles because we did not miss the ball left, right, short, or over our target. The next shot is 123 yards, so we write 1, 2, 3, and ends up in the sand, so we write S. And it ends up right of our target, so we fill in the right bubble. The next shot is 17 yards and ends up on the green, so we write G. Notice how the player wanted to note that they missed this shot both right and short of their intended target. Next, we have a 15-foot putt that goes in the hole. So we write 15 and then I. Since it went in the hole, we couldn't have missed it in any direction. Let's go through a more complex example that includes a penalty shot. So this hole is a par 5 and it's 498 yards long. We hit our first shot and it goes into the rough, so we write R, and we missed it right, so we fill in the bubble under this R. The next shot was 245 yards to the pin, but unfortunately went in the water. So here we'll write 245 and then jump and fill in the penalty circle. From this dotted line, we can see that the player dropped the ball back in the fairway, so we can write F for fairway. Next, the shot is 127 yards long and ends up on the green, so we write G. And we missed a little bit left of the pin, so we can fill in the left bubble. Next, it's a 22-foot putt that ends up on the green because we missed the putt and a little bit right of our intended target. Lastly, there's a 2-foot putt that goes in the hole. Notice how I switched the units from yards to feet when I got on the green. This is because the default setting for every account is off the green to be in yards and on the green to be in feet. If you want to change that, you can do so from inside the app. Once you have finished playing and recording all the round data, it's time to scan.
Here are some tips on how to get the perfect scan in Accel Golf. Make sure the paper is flat, visible, and on a dark background. Success! Here are some tips on how not to scan the Accel Golf stat card. First of all, you don't want your card to be folded and all wrinkled up. Second of all, you want to make sure that all the corners are visible, not ripped off. And third, you want to make sure that there's no shadow right in the middle of the paper while you're trying to scan. As you can see, we got an error, and of course it's not going to scan it properly because it can't see the paper that well.
Once a player scans around in Accel Golf, they will land on a page like this. Here, they can edit the name of the round as well as all these other details. Here, they can see a summary of the round as well as the breakdown hole by hole. On these holes, the player should check to see that all the numbers, letters, and bubbles were filled in correctly. At the top, a player can add a tag to a round to help them categorize it. For example, if this was a tournament, I could add the tournaments tag. If this was a tournament in New Jersey, I would want to add the New Jersey events tag. Notice how this is nested under the tournaments tag, so it's automatically classified as a tournament as well. Once a player is satisfied with their round, they can save it. Let's take a look at the settings page as a coach. At the top, you can adjust your name or link to Google, Apple, or Microsoft. In this section, you can see what teams you're on or if you have any outstanding invitations. To accept an invitation, click on it and then click the Accept button. Under the golf settings, you'll want to enable benchmark comparisons to have black lines show up in the app that can compare your player's stats to your selected benchmark. You can select from any of these preset benchmarks or create your own. You can create your own by selecting any number of players to include in that benchmark, and if there's a time frame, and if you'd like to automatically update that benchmark as the players add more rounds. Next, you can manage your units, which should default to yards off the green and feet on the green. In the Preferences section, you can change how your account appears, your notification settings, your sharing settings, and you can manage your tags and groups. You might want to use tags to manage rounds that you'd like to group together. For example, if multiple players were playing the same tournament, you might want to create a tag for that specific tournament. Then the player would have the option to add that tag when they're saving their round. You can see all the tags that you currently have in this bottom section. Under Manage Groups, you can see all the groups that currently exist in your organization, and you can create a new group. You create groups by choosing either subgroups or individual members of the organization. Now, let's dive into the app. The first thing you'll notice is these 4 summary numbers at the top. These represent combined values for all players that you currently have selected in your account. On the Events page, you can see which players you currently have events for, whether they are practices, rounds, or other types of events such as lessons, workouts, or notes. All of these will appear on the events page. Let's say, for example, you just wanted to look for player 1. You could click just player 1 in the tags and groups section. This will filter to only show you events completed by player 1. If you want to just view these stats, you can select all of these events and return to the statistics page. Now, if we open any of these tabs, we should only see stats for player 1. You can use the Tags and Groups tab to filter by players, groups, or any tags that you have created. You can also change the search properties like dates or types of events. You can also filter your events page to only show rounds of golf. This way, you can individually select the rounds that you want to look at. Feel free to explore each one of the stats pages. For some of the graphs, there will be a question mark explaining what the graph intends to show. For a quick and easy statistics summary of any number of rounds, you can simply generate a report. Here, it's defaulting to all the rounds selected. When we generate a report, we can select options like downloading it or directly emailing it. Next, we can also select our benchmark. Here, let's change it to Scratch. Next, you have the option to view the report in fractions or percentages. We recommend fractions for a short period of time and percentages if you're looking at season-long values. Once you generate the report, it should automatically download to your desktop and you should be able to view it immediately. Here, with 2 players selected, we can see the dates and how each one of them played. If we want a slightly more in-depth report, we can limit the report to just 1 player. By selecting just 1 player, we will get slightly more detail into each one of the statistics. In the misses section, you will have to select 1 player at a time to view their misses. Let's look at the drills tab. Here, you can see we have drills built in ranging from short putts to drives. Let's say you wanted to assign one of these drills to a player to complete. First, search for the drill you want. Then, click on it and make sure the player has all the necessary equipment. Once you are satisfied with the drill, click Assign Drill to Player. In here, you can add notes for the player telling them how to do the drill. You can also add a tag if it falls under any of the tags. Make sure to add a date and time when you want them to complete the drill. Once you save it, this drill will appear on that player's calendar as something for them to complete. If you want to create your own drill, find the plus button in the bottom right corner, and here you can design your own drill. You can enter a name for it, the necessary equipment, the skill that it's working on, the time it should take, the difficulty of the drill, and if you'd like to share it with anyone. It should default to share with everyone in your organization. Next, you can add a description for the drill and any photos to help explain the drill. Lastly, you can add metrics that you want to track in the drill. Let's say this drill had a score component. You could add score as one of the metrics to track. Let's also say that you wanted players to provide feedback on what they thought of the drill. Here, you could add a custom field called feedback and change the field type to be a text box. You also can select from any of these options for drill metrics. If you want to view a player's progress on a drill, click the drill and then the View Drill Progress button at the top. Once here, you can see the dates on which the players completed the drills and any metrics values if there are any. Next, let's look at the AI coach. Like under the Misses tab, you will have to select one player at a time to view their personalized AI coach recommendations. Unlike other platforms, we don't just recommend to work on your weaknesses. We also want to point out your strengths and specifically look at the things that you can get the most bang for your buck on. So not necessarily your weaknesses, but where we feel you may be able to improve the most in the short term. In this case, we can see 3 areas of recommended improvement. When we click on each, there will be descriptions for drills you can do. When you click on those drills, it will bring you straight to the drill page where you can log your progress or assign the drill to a player. Thanks for watching. Please don't hesitate to look at our frequently asked questions document or visit our website if you have any questions.